Welcome to Band Talk with Carmen Allgood, David Barber, and Mark Maverick. Band Talk. Talk about the good, the bad, and the ugly of being an independent band.
You're listening to Band Talk. I'm Mark Maverick along with Carmen Allgood and David Barber. Today we're going to be talking about starting your own record label. And, you know, the thing is we won't have enough time to really go over everything. This is almost like
there's so much info.
Yeah, there is you can go on for a month with this stuff. And, you know, so we're going to try to cap the top parts of this thing and see if you're even interested in starting your own record label. And we're also going to be featuring a couple of bands. And, Carmen, who do you have today?
I've got a really spectacular artist from the land down under, also known as Australia, and his name is Michael Macri, or Macri, M-A-C-R-I. He has a kind of a rock, swing, big band sound going on, but really a tremendous artist, seasoned, well-peppered.
Well-peppered, huh? You know, that's like me. I'm well-peppered, too. But it's on
You're
the top.
Pickled, Mark.
I'm
There's a
pickled.
difference.
Pickled and peppered in the hair.
Peppered and pickled.
Yeah. David, who do you have today?
I got Williams Inc. They're a cool band out of Colorado, and hopefully you'll enjoy their song.
All right, cool. And I'm going to be featuring a brand new band to Indie 104, and they are called Highway Down. And going to do a little country here this time here, but I think you guys are going to really enjoy this. And even Carmen, which is not a huge country fan.
Who is not?
Yeah. But no, they are a great band right out of Los Angeles too. So we're going to be listening to them and talking more about them.
Maybe they're trying to turn the tide back around to get country out there, because it certainly is huge everywhere else.
Yeah, you know, Los Angeles is a rock town. You know, the city of rock. You know, the city of angels, the city of rock. And a lot of the country stations actually left. I think we only have one, maybe two in the local area. But, you know, Nashville seems to be the big country capital. But we need to bring it back here. So we're going to be playing a little bit of Highway Down later on. Now, let's talk about just some of the things that we're going to be talking about today, you know, going over it really quick in the next minute or two. David, so what do you think we should be talking about or starting off with on record?
I think we should start off with, you know, why would you even want to start your own label or not? And what does it have to say about your band? Are you just going to make a label and sign your band to it and just have that be that? Or are you actually going to try to sign other bands and be a real label? And, you know, what does it take to do that? And what, you know, what should you expect as an artist when you sign to any record label of any size? What should they do for you?
Exactly, exactly.
And what should the label hope to get out of it, and how can they expand and grow and be successful?
You're absolutely right. So when we come back, we're going to be talking about starting your own record label right here on Band Talk, and we'll talk to you right after this. Join me, Mark Maverick, along with Carmen Allgood and David Barber as we talk about everything you ever wanted to know about being in a band, from gigging to managing, on Band Talk, live every Wednesday at 11 a.m. Pacific Time, exclusively on Indie 104. Band Talk.
I look in the mirror and I like what I see. I might not be as pretty or slim like you or she. I'm always asked the question, do you like to eat? Listen, everybody, what's the big deal? any restaurant I please. Never worry about the menu I eat. What pleases me. Eating makes me happy. I'm never sad or blue. You can be as happy if you eat what pleases you. I'm big and beautiful, happy and free. You can laugh all you like, it doesn't bother me. I'm stronger than you, you can't hurt me. I'm cuddly when it's cold, I'm never gonna breathe. I'm big and beautiful, happy and free. You can laugh all you like, it doesn't bother me. I'm stronger than you can't hurt me. I'm cuddly when it's cold, I'm never gonna freeze. I'm big and beautiful, happy and free. You can laugh all you like, it doesn't bother me. I'm stronger than you can't hurt me. I'm cuddly when it's cold, I'm never gonna freeze. Not me.
And we're back with more band talk with Carmen Allgood, David Barber, and Mark Maverick.
Well, and that's a band everybody's just grown to love from the land down under, Melbourne, Australia, Michael Macri Music. And his last name is spelled Macri. I hope I'm saying that correctly. It could be Macri or Macri. But anyway, michaelmacri.com if you'd like to check it out. And during the song, we were wondering what kind of genre to attach to this artist. And, he just kind of crosses the divide in a lot of areas. Big band, swing, pop, and rock influences. And he actually claims to have gone back through the 70s for heavy metal, glam, dance, and 80s new romantic music as influences for his current style. He's got 4 great albums. That particular song, Bold and Beautiful, Big and Beautiful, is coming off of that same album. That's the title track. And that song is literally about how to make people that struggle with weight issues learn to love themselves better and just look at it like, hey, there's more of me to love, so I've got to love that. I hope people enjoyed that song.
I love myself already.
I know. His first album was I Can't Drink With You.
And that was a real album, too.
And his latest album, what we just heard, was the title track, Big and Beautiful. Michael Macri. Love it.
Now his next album coming out was I Can't Eat With You. No, I'm only joking. I can see the emails coming in right now, Hey,
or I can't eat.
see, that's like me. I'm not overweight. I'm just vertically challenged, So, so go ahead, Dave.
Remind everybody that we're in the chat room. Carmen and I are there right now waiting for somebody to chat with.
Yeah, come on in the chat room. You can get there by going to indie104.com, click on chat room, and just click start or join or whatever it is, and just get right in there. You can see what we're chatting about, or if you have a question you want to ask us live on the air, You can ask right there.
Or if you have a record label that you started and can share something with us about your experience for this topic, that would be fantastic.
Exactly.
That really would.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And again, we're talking about starting your own record label. Now, again, before we start, we are not professionals at this.
We're not lawyers.
And we're not lawyers. So
or
we're
doctors, but we are good liars.
Yes. But, you know, we have the means to find this out, and we're trying to give you guys a foot up. And, you know, so we don't have all the answers, and we can't cover every topic or everything there is about this.
It's a deep, deep topic. So we're just going to skim the surface here a little bit. David probably knows the most. And, of course, I always refer to Google when I want to know something true.
Oh, yeah. What I was going to say is just Google how to start your own label, and you'll find more stuff than you ever want to read.
True.
Yeah, exactly. And again, you know, everybody has their own ideas. So some people will say one thing, somebody else will say something different. So we're going to try to bring that, compact it a little bit, and just basically give you the steps and maybe go over some of the main things, you know, like distribution and promotion.
Right.
Well, one of the first things to recognize is that not too long ago, every independent band in the world had a goal, and that was to get signed up by a record label. Now, because of the internet and the playing field being totally leveled, giving everybody an opportunity, it may not be such a good idea for you to sit around and let somebody take control of your musical or artistic endeavor.
Yeah, and change you all over, you know, change everything about you. And
right.
I don't like that. But, you know, a lot of people say, well, what really is a record label? A lot of people don't understand what a record label is.
What can they do for you? And if you had your own, what would it do for you or anyone else?
Yeah. So I have the dictionary thing here really quick. Just what a record label is. It's a company that manufactures and distributes recorded music and promotes that music. That is a record label. So you have to think about distribution, promoting.
There's a lot in there. You know, most of the time when an artist thinks about getting signed to a major label, they think, oh, we're going to get lots of money, we're going to, you know, tour all over the world, we're going to record with a big producer and all that kind of stuff. And all that might be true, but the reality, if you go with a small label or if you make your own label, what can you offer, or what should you expect for that label to do? And the smaller label is going to maybe not. Well, certainly they're not going to give you money for signing. There's not going to be a big signing bonus.
Yeah.
So you're not going to get rich right off the bat, anyway. They're not going to. They may not have anything to do with your recording process. They may want you to deliver to them a finished, final recording. But this is where then they would step in and start doing stuff. Is they would take your master recording and they would have it manufactured into whatever format you want. It might be CDs, it might be vinyl, it might be some other format in the future. Who knows? And they're going to get distribution for you, probably through a third-party distribution company. Mm-hmm. Record labels are not set up to distribute. They have distribution arms, or they use a distribution company, and that the distribution company gets your product, whatever it is, into record stores or Walmart or Best Buy or wherever they are selling music these days, as well as all the online outlets, iTunes, and all the other places that will sell an MP3.
Yeah.
And then hopefully they're also going to promote it, and that's a huge thing. That could be everything from radio promotion to flat out buying advertising to helping you tour and gain fans while touring. Although they are not a booking company, they are not going to book a tour for you. But
they might have an extension or an umbrella company that handles that area exclusively, getting the tours going. They might.
Right.
Yeah.
And they might not.
They might, or they probably have a relationship with a booking agency that books bigger acts. Hopefully they do. And so they can get you as an opening act touring around the country for somebody who's already established and has a big fan base, so you can, and they'd be a compatible band, so their fans might like you. Okay, so you could start building a much broader audience than if you just go out and tour by yourself.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
presumably.
So pretty much that's what a record label is and does. And now we're going to kind of switch it a little bit. And do you want to start your own record label? Because again, the big four, which we talked offline a little bit, is Sony, Universal, EMI, and Warner. Those are the big four, and there are several indie labels that are underneath each one of those, but they're the larger indie labels. But you want to start
the major minors.
Yeah, the major minors. Yeah, and I like that, the major minors.
Major minors sounds like a baseball team from you know where.
That's exactly where I was thinking. But you know, again, if you get signed up even from one of those major minors, they're still going to change you, and you're probably not going to like it. So, you know, the thing is, hey, I want to start my own record label. Okay, now you have to think, okay, if I start this record label, is it for my music only, or for the band's music, or are you going to expand a little bit and pick up other bands as well? So those are kind of things you have to think about as well before you start. And also, believe it or not, the name is very, very important. I mean, if you come up with some name, you know, like
Warner Brothers.
Yeah, you know, or, you know, say that you're a Swedish label, you know, called Warner Brothers. You know, so you really have to choose a name that fits your company, and not just sounds cool, but fits your company, and also sounds cool and doesn't distract, because you don't want it to make it sound too cheesy. I mean, there's some labels that we get here that we promote, and it's like, what were they thinking of? You know, you can't remember it. It's hard to spell. You know, so you got to think of things like that. One of the other things you have to think about is, do you have time to work every day with your label? So if you have a full-time job, guess what? This is another full-time job, because you have to do a lot of work. You got to wear a lot of hats doing this. And another thing you have to think about is, how much budget do you have for this? Because it does cost money to do this. Even everything is digital now, it still costs money. And
now, there's a lot of talk out there about how labels just take money from artists, and they're all greedy, and maybe that's true to some small degree. But if you start your own label, you're going to understand suddenly why labels suck down money so quickly, because there are a lot of expenses. There are things like, just manufacturing up a bunch of CDs, and
well, the artwork
getting
for
the artwork
CD.
done.
Yeah, the artwork.
And radio promotion. Oh my God, that's $1 million.
Oh my God.
If you want to
radio promotion is
radio.
Beyond belief expensive. And I know everybody likes to think they're the next big hit or the next big rock star, and that we should all be working for you for free.
Yeah.
But believe me, it's not true. And that doesn't even include the fact that you seriously need to consult with an entertainment lawyer before you set anything up, because you will have contractual obligations to meet, even if it's with the members of your own band.
Yes, exactly. And when you...
So there's an expense, right?
Yeah, and this is...
Unless the lawyer wants to work for you for free, and I seriously doubt it.
Yeah, and since this is going to be a business, you have to get legal paperwork done. You have to get a DBA. You have to get an LLC. There's lots of legal things you have to do as well for that, especially if you're working with other people. Say, like, your whole band is the record label, for instance, or you have some friends coming in. Like, say, the three of us want to start a record label. We have to protect each other by getting an LLC and, some other legal documents.
Yeah, and that's actually really important, and let's just talk about that for a minute, because whether you're an LLC or a partnership or some kind of a corporation, even if you don't start a label, if you're a band, you should have some kind of an agreement. If you don't have any agreement, you're just considered an informal partnership, and everybody has equal ownership of everything. And then what happens if, the guy who writes all the songs wants to quit the band? Mm-hmm. That there's big question marks there. It's more difficult. If you have a partnership agreement or bylaws, if it's a corporation, that spell out, okay, this guy's the music director, and he writes the music and decides what we play. This other guy is in charge of promotion. And, you can take that to a label as well. This guy's in charge of promotion. This guy's in charge of deciding what artists are going to be signed to the label. And then if somebody wants to leave, did they have a financial investment when you started? It's conceivable that in a record label situation, you would have a partner who does nothing but supplied a bunch of money to get things going. And he'd be kind of a silent partner. Well, if he wants out, do you have to buy him out? Do you have to pay him back? That's a good thing to have in agreement ahead of time, so that down the road, if he wants out, there's not a big fight that destroys everybody's ability to get anything done.
And then this other thing as extension into the future about this type of situation, David and Mark and everybody listening, is what happens if you get sick or die, and you are a major owner of this label. Does that then revert to your wife, your kids, if you pass away? Is it inherited by somebody in your family, a friend, or whatever? I mean, you've really got to be thinking about the worst-case scenarios as well as the best-case scenarios.
Exactly.
Right.
I mean, there's
really
just
important.
so much. Yeah, there's just so much to think about.
And that's why
definitely
you need,
consult an attorney on that.
Yeah, then that's why you need that entertainment attorney.
Excellent. Yeah.
Entertainment attorney.
There's too many things specific to the entertainment industry, particularly the music business, that are just weird and unlike any other industry that just a general contract lawyer may not and probably will not be familiar with enough to do a good job for you.
Yeah. So you get all, that's just starting, and that's just scratching the surface of what, how to start a record label. That's just some of the legal stuff. Now you got your record label, you got it named, and you're ready to get some music. Now you got to find out, okay, are we going to bring other people in, other bands in? So now you have to find the music. So now you have to do all that, promote your business so other bands can come to you. And so you find the music. Now are you going to record the music, send the bands into a local recording studio, or are you going to have the band or the artist send you the master files? So that's another thing you got to figure out too. Are you going to have your own recording studio, or are you going to have somebody else go to one, in their location and bring you back the masters, whatever? So now you have the master copy, and now you're going to say, okay, are you going to pay the band for their master? You're going to pay them in advance? Or what percentage is the artist going to get? When will they split it? What if they don't sell their albums? So forth and all that. And, so then it goes on there, and then you go like, how many copies do the bands get? Because if the band gets a copy, those are promos, so that means they're losing money because, say they get 100 albums to give away to people. Okay, that's 100 albums that they're not going to be able to sell.
Right.
Or that they're mailing to radio stations.
Yeah, exactly. Those are promo albums.
Right.
So,
that they can't sell those, and that's money that could be just down the tubes. But promotional activities are important, and you've got to spend money on promotion if you want it to be effective.
Well, let me ask both of you a question, and each of you just answer. David, you first, please. Does it seem or appear that this would add more credibility to you as an artist if you start your own record label, or is it just pie in the sky fantasizing?
I will tell you my opinion on that. If you're starting a label and you're the only one on it, I think it does not increase your credibility at all. I think it is. It's like, and I've seen this a lot in the hip hop genre, bands that will name themselves or acts that will name themselves whatever hip hop act. Incorporated or records. They put records at the end of their name. We're Joe Smith Hip Hop Records, thinking that makes them a record label. And sometimes they'll even go so far as to create a label and call their hip hop act the name of the label. I do not think that is impressive at all, and I think that anybody in the industry looks at that and goes, okay, well, they weren't good enough to get signed to a real label, so they signed themselves to their own label, and so they're probably not very good. That's that's been my experience, in my opinion. I think
go
if
ahead.
you're really, really good, if you've got great music and a great performance and a great recording, you're not going to have much trouble finding at least an independent label to sign you. But if you've got all those things and you want to do it yourself, go for it. If you don't have those things together, work on it.
Yeah,
It's more important to get the music than it is to make a label.
Yeah, and I agree with you on that as well. If you are going to do a record label and it's going to be, the people in the band, have it completely separated, call it something completely different, so you have no, so when somebody goes to your record label, there is no connection between the label and the band.
Right.
Because promoters and stuff, they're going to look at this and they go like, oh, this is just another independent band trying to make their own label, trying to do this here. It's, and they're going to throw it out the window. So
you're not fooling anybody.
Yeah, separate the band from the label. Name
my
everything.
buddies, local hero, who are now a defunct reggae band, one of the guys lived on 3rd Street, so they just called it 3rd Street Records.
Yeah, and that's easy enough to do.
Right.
Yeah.
So, that also left it open that if other bands wanted to come in and they were really moving out with this label and felt confident enough and flush enough to bring in other artists and grow, because I have seen a number of independent labels might have 10 or 15 bands listed under there.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, and it's actually better if the more bands you have under you, and good bands, not just anybody who's willing to pay you, good bands, because when those other companies, if they want to do work with you, they're going to say, oh, yeah, you got 10 bands underneath you, but they're all, for lack of a better phrase, crap.
That's exactly it. Yeah. But if you've got 10 good bands on your label, now you're talking, and now they're gonna give you some respect.
Exactly, and it's all about respect and
credibility
and
as
credibility.
well.
Yeah, and that's the word.
Because there's a billion bands out there, and only a certain percentage of those. And I will give the unsigned bands a lot of credit. There are a lot of really great bands. Whether they're going to run the distance or whatever, who knows? But you can be selective about the bands you bring in, because one of those just might make it through to the other side, and then that just elevates your entire platform and it lifts everybody up all together as one.
Although if you get a band that ends up being the next huge thing and they're selling millions of records, what's going to happen is a major label is going to come along and steal them away from you. And that's okay. You can make money off of that. Have them buy out your contract and things like that. And that's what the small labels are for, is sort of development.
Exactly.
They're a stepping stone towards a bigger platform.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So you're listening to Band Talk, and we're going to be back right after this and talk more about starting your own record label on Indie 104 and Band Talk.
Gigging, everything you need to know about playing gigs except how to play your acts. The book by David Barber, now available for Kindle and all other e-readers. Gigging covers topics from booking to getting paid, with some tips on how to get along with the sound guy and the rest of the staff at any venue. Gigging also includes real-life humorous true gig stories about bands who did it wrong. This book is required reading for new bands, aspiring rock stars, and seasoned pros who keep having problems. Learn from the mistakes of others and earn the respect that your music deserves. Visit indie104.com and use the coupon code on the homepage to get $10 off your purchase.
Sat down, cried over you, saw what I put you through. Last year you got me, baby, you got me. Be that star that falls tonight, I think it'll be alright if I sit and take a backseat. No, I'm sorry, your love forgave. Sat down, wrote you a letter. Pretty soon I know I feel much better.
And we're back with more band talk with Carmen Allgood, David Barber, and Mark Maverick.
All right, that was Last Year from Williams Inc. They're a cool Denver band. They just handed me a CD at some point or mailed it in or whatever. And normally when I get these kind of CDs, I don't expect much. But this one surprised me. It was really good.
Yeah, kind of sounds like the Weezers.
A guy in the chat room, Damian McCarran from the cool band who I'm
The
blanking out.
Indulgers.
The Indulgers. Thank you, Carmen. And he says that the band Train is at Applejack Liquors right now signing bottles of wine named after their song. So if you're in that area
Chardonnay.
and you want to get a bottle of Chardonnay signed by Train, that might be cool.
It's in the Denver Golden area of Colorado, by the way. So
Yeah,
don't,
not that we
try to get there in
promote-
10 minutes if you're in New York, right?
Not that
Yeah,
we
try
promote
not to do
alcohol.
that.
We don't promote alcohol, but we'll promote the band.
Okay.
All right. So we are back, and we're talking about starting your own record label, and we talked over a lot of the stuff about the legal aspects of it and how to set up, because it's basically a business. And, another thing that you got to watch out for, too, is the bands that you sign, you got to have a contract for them. So, again, going back to the, the entertainment attorney, getting contracts set up. And, the artist has the right to look or to audit your books.
Oh yeah. Well, they can if they get that in their contract.
Yeah. And which is a good idea in a way to keep you accountable.
But if you're winging it on your own or you and your buddies, make sure you keep your books in order, because the last thing you want is for one of your artists to audit your books and you have just a shoebox full of receipts or something, and then they're going to be saying, well, where's all our money? You want to make sure that's all clearly defined. I think if you're going to start a label, you need to go as far as like a mission statement that clarifies, okay, we're going to be a label that does not screw over the artist, or something like that.
That's a good mission statement.
Yeah, because that's commonly why small labels are started, is because the big labels are so full of bureaucracy and BS, and they're set up to take money from the artist, basically.
Yeah, you're right.
But there are a lot of expenses too. So if you're gonna be friendlier to the artist, you've got to expect to earn a little bit less money on sales. So it's a balancing act that you've got to figure out, hopefully ahead of time, before you go too deeply into debt.
Exactly. So okay, now you're the record label, you got some music, you got your bands, and now you need to promote and distribute the music. And
right. You want to set up distribution first. But hopefully you've got a mastered CD and artwork that's ready to go. You can take it to a distributor, and some of them will do manufacturing and distribution. That's called M&D a lot of times. Mm-hmm. And what they'll do is they'll have it all manufactured, all the CDs and the jewel cases and the inserts, or whatever, vinyl and sleeves, whatever you're going to sell, and they'll get that out. They're going to make them up, and then they'll distribute it to the stores. The record stores, wherever it's going to be sold, and the online stores, and all those places. And they're going to take a big cut. They're going to take probably 50%. Mm-hmm. Now, if you're small, it may be even worse. You may have to pay a distribution company to distribute it. And there are companies out there that'll do it. You give them $1,500 and a stack of CDs, and they'll distribute them for you. And, if they all sell, they may come back and say, okay, cool, give us more and we'll sell more, that kind of thing. But if they don't sell, which is what they're expecting if they're charging you up front, then, you've pretty much thrown money away for the chance that they might sell. Yeah. That's when promotion comes in.
Yeah. Now, staying with the distribution for a second, I understand at some of these larger department stores, we won't name any of them, because they're not paying us. But, these department stores that have CD sales, I understand that if you work your way up in there, you can sell your CD at these places, but you have to pay them up front. So so in other words, you have to pay them because they're buying the CDs basically from you and they're keeping them. But you have to pay them up front. And I think somebody was saying that they did it and you had to pay the store like $600. And
Wow.
they put the CDs in there. And then if they sold, then, they got a percentage or whatever it was. Of course, the other place got their $600.
That's probably true, because a lot of times these kind of stores, and this even happens at the grocery store, is so many companies want space on the shelf that they can actually charge, and they do charge for shelf space.
Yeah,
so
that's exactly
if you
right.
want your CD in their CD rack, you may have to pay them for that space.
Yeah.
And particularly if they don't think they're going to make a lot of money on it, they'll want to rent that space to you.
Yeah.
It's different if you're Sting and they know that you're going to sell every copy that they get. But if you're just Joe Blow, and particularly if you don't have a lot of promotion going on, why should they carry your music if you're not?
Well,
if nobody knows about it and wants to buy it.
Yeah, who is this band? Why should I buy their album? So there's got to be a lot of promotion, which we're going to talk about right now. And some of the promotion way is radio promotion. There's terrestrial radio, there's satellite radio, and internet radio. Internet radio is probably the easiest to get promoted on.
Right.
Some
and
terrestrial.
we did a whole show on this that
Yeah.
you can listen to in the on-demand section of indie104.com.
Yeah, exactly.
That's true.
So you got your radio promotion, then there's print and media. So, and then there's online media. So you have to get things printed out, flyers, cards. There's a lot of bands that have these little index card sized things. That costs money as well.
Sure.
Put those out, you hand those out to people, posters, you name it. The clubs, go to clubs, get your music played at the clubs, get gigs at the clubs. That's how it promotes it. Get a website that has your name, the band name on it, not initials or something like that. Get a band, a regular website, promote it on there, and then ads. And let's see,
And you can buy ads in any newspaper or magazine.
Yeah.
Whether that's going to sell albums that enough to make up for the cost of the ad, I don't know. Probably not,
Yeah.
but it might. It might help.
But there's posters, there's internet ads, there's even TV ads. And you can, believe it or not, you can get on late night local TV. There's cable channels. For $150, you might even be able to put a whole show or 30-minute show on.
Oh yeah,
Maybe.
yeah.
Mhm.
If you pay them for the time, or bring in a sponsor, an advertising sponsor, who will pay the costs, you can have your own TV show.
Yeah, so there's all sorts of things that you can do, for promotions. Now, when you get to the radio promotions, it's usually better to hire somebody. In fact, we had a show on this as well, so you can go back in our archives, and we're on iTunes now for the podcast, and listen to this. But it's better to hire a radio promotions company. It's going to cost money, but they already have a database of all these radio stations that they already have. What do you call it?
Relationships with.
That's the word I was looking for. Relationships with, and I have 5 guys that call me up every week, and they do their radio promotions with me. So they can almost guarantee that your music is going to be on the stations, however many stations they have.
Sure.
And then, there's the other side of that coin, too, where you're looking for some kind of distribution, and now there's companies that are set up that will strictly do the digital distribution for you, so that the reason they want to keep it, like an exclusive is so there's not 20 or 30 companies trying to bill out for sales that are all done on iTunes or a bunch of other separate distribution centers online.
Yeah.
So, imagine how chaotic it would be if there were a bunch of companies that were just trying to distribute your music online and then trying to bill everybody at the same time, because they're going to say, well, who gets the credit for this? Well, we both sold it. It's just going to be a nightmare. So you really got your work cut out for you, but you will need some help.
Yeah,
if you're going to step onto this platform, you're going to need some serious help to organize this so that it doesn't just collapse on itself after 3 months.
Yeah, and I think the radio promotions and distribution, those two especially, you need a third party, company, somebody that's been in the business for a while, knows how to handle it, and already has these relationships with all these companies, and but do your homework. We talked about that before. Do your homework before you choose which company, and it's not always necessarily about the price.
No, it's not.
Well, here's another question for both of you guys then. Say, the bands just put out their first 5-song EP. They're obviously not ready for a record label. At what point in time do you think a band would be prepared enough or have enough material to go ahead and launch a record label? When they have 2 albums and they're moving out, or what? I mean,
I don't think a band should launch their own record label at all, personally, unless they're going to do it for real and bring other bands in as well that are good bands. I think a band should spend more time working on their music, their recording, and their stage show. If they get those things really, really good to where people just love them, then they're the total package. And then at least a small label should be interested in them. And if they can't find a suitable small label, then maybe they should consider starting their own. But a band should focus. The job of the band is to play the music, to write the music, to play the music, to record the music, and to perform. If you've got to be a band member and a label executive, that's 2 jobs now, and
they're both full-time jobs.
Right, and neither one of them might pay very well, at least at first, and it's tough to do both of them well. So, maybe you've got a friend who wants to start a label who would be just great at it because that's the kind of thing they're good at, even though they don't play any instrument or sing or anything. I think the artists should do the art and the business people should do the business.
Yes, and I fully agree with you. Again, the band should concentrate on their music, because if you shred it out, like have 2 different businesses, if the band has 2 different businesses, basically the record label, the band, and if they have another full-time job, their music is going to, you're going to see it in their music. Their music is going to diminish, the quality of their music. So if you want to start your own label, get somebody else that's, a family member or something like that.
Preferably somebody who has already worked at a label and knows something about the business.
Yeah, exactly. Exactly.
Preferably.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
But it could be a musician who is just tired of playing all the time and wants to sort of retire from playing, or maybe he just isn't very good. Instead of firing that drummer, have him be the guy in charge of your label.
Yeah, exactly.
But your bottom line is most bands simply do not need a record label.
No.
And what you're really going for in this day and age is not a physical distribution, because that's kind of getting passe. People don't really like CDs anymore. You want a one-hit wonder that's going to get 2 million downloads that everybody paid 99 cents for, and you get half of the money or a third of the money.
No, a fraction of a tenth of the money.
Or 10% or whatever.
Yeah.
Because digital downloads, once you have it up there, it doesn't cost you anything.
Right.
You don't have to reload it or anything like that. It's just sitting there waiting for a billion people to come by and drop their coins in the slot and go,
Once you've got that MP3 done, once you've got your recording made, get it out there. Have people listen to it and preferably buy it, because then it can just sit there and work for you. All you got to do is promote it. And promotion can be hard. It can mean touring all over the country, but it can also mean shooting some cool YouTube videos. It can be and thinking about video. Instead of putting out CDs, maybe you want to put out a DVD if you've got some great maybe live video footage.
Yeah, or both.
Or what?
Or both. Have yours.
Both.
Yeah, I've have packages that come in that has the album on one side, the DVD, the music videos, and everything else. Hey, how we made the album. All these behind the scenes videos and stuff in there. You know,
That's great.
But again, we're talking about should you starting your own record label, and especially if you're a band. But when we come back, we're going to be talking more about that right here on Indie 104 and Band Talk. This is Mark Maverick, and I want to say hi to all my friends at Pep's Pizza in La Habra. They have award-winning pizza, pasta, and sandwiches. Bring the entire family to experience fun and entertainment like trivia, bingo, comedy night, and the new Pizza Rock concert series. Pep's Pizza, 165 South Harbor Boulevard in La Habra. Experience it.
That can't be found. I think I'm ready to settle down in any town. Well, I was footloose and fancy free, but it's not near what I thought it'd be. So I'm trading my wasted liberty for any town. Somewhere with a wavy love and know my name, where they're quick to smile and slow to change. Some folks always stay the same, it seems. Yeah, any town sounds good to me. With so long heartache and misery, I've been out too long on this aimless sea. Yes, I'm coming home, save a place for me in any town. Somewhere with a wavy love and know my name, where they're quick to smile and slow to change. But some folks always stay the same, it seems. Yeah, with a lending hand when times get hard, and they take you just the way you are. Let me come and go just as I please. Yeah, in town, it sounds good to me. I thought I was only good at goodbyes. And I could stay right here the rest of my life. Oh yeah. Somewhere with a wavy low and know my name, they're quick to smile and slow to change. Well, some folks always stay the same. Yeah, with a little hand when times get hard, and they take you just the way you are. Let me come and go just as I please. Yeah, in town. Yeah, any town sounds good to me. Hey, oh yeah, oh any town. How about this town? Oh your town, oh my town. I said any town. Oh yeah, any town. Oh yeah. Oh yeah.
And we're back with more Band Talk with Carmen Allgood, David Barber and Mark Maverick.
And that was Highway Down, Anytown, and I think these guys are fabulous. I mean, kind of has the Rascal Flatts kind of sound to them. They're actually out of Los Angeles, which blows me away for being so country as they are. And you can find out more information at highwaydown.com and also on Facebook. And check them out. They even have a really cool album cover. You know, live for the ride.
Yeah, they sound totally pro.
Yeah, they are.
And
fantastic.
you know, anybody's live for the ride. And their favorite quote: "You are what you are, and you ain't what you ain't," by John Prine. So if there's any John Prine lovers out there, you'll get it.
Yeah, exactly. Oop. And let's see, you've got Brian Connor, Eric Scott Williams, and Gabe Treviso are the three main band members, and then they also have some people come in and play some keys and different things. But fabulous, fabulous band, and I'm hoping to get with them to come out to some of our events. Anyway, let's get back to our topic since we only have about 8 more minutes or so. Starting your own record label. And just recap really quick there. In fact, Carmen, can you recap what we went over?
Well, first of all, you just need to decide whether or not you're ready for one. In David's opinion, most bands simply don't need a label, and they don't need to expend that much energy because it takes a lot of time, money, effort, and work pardon me, to oversee a record label.
Yes.
That's the first consideration. You're probably not ready, and if you really are, somebody will track you down and find you and want to sign you up under their own label. Let them do it if they're credible.
Sure. And the other thing is that we forgot to mention is that a lot of these things, you don't need to be a label. You can still do it yourself. You can be independent, unsigned, and still get internet distribution. You can do that.
Yes.
You can do it yourself. You can pay for manufacturing yourself. Go to an independent, well, anywhere. You can burn your own CDs. It's better to have them professionally done, but you don't have to be a label to do that. You can get a great recording done with a great producer without being signed to a label. You'll have to pay them, but that's okay. At least it's coming out of your pocket and you know where it's coming from and going to and all that. You don't necessarily need that extra structure in order to be successful.
No.
Yeah. And the biggest thing about your music, if you're a band or an artist, is the distribution, like we just talked about, and the promotion. If you get your album pressed and it's ready to go, okay, you have to distribute it. So you get a distribution company to do that for you. They already have all the means, the know-how, and everything to do it. Get it distributed. Again, you can do it yourself, but you got to have the time and got to have the know-how.
And the dime.
And the dime, yes.
Mm-hmm.
And then
you can take your CDs to the local record store and have them sell them on consignment. There's a lot of local record stores that'll do that.
Are there still record stores out there?
If they don't sell.
Are there still record stores out there?
There are a few. There are not as many as there used to be, but there are a few. And the ones that are out there are really good ones. And I encourage people to go to them and buy stuff. But, if you don't promote it, it's still not going to sell.
Yeah, exactly. And then that's
and
where,
you can do promotion on your own, too, as an independent band.
Yeah, you can do some of the promotion on your own, but like radio promotion especially, you need to have somebody that already has the database and the relationships with these radio stations. And again, you can go to our indie104.com to our on demand and go into iTunes and download the podcast that we talk about radio promotion. Then it'll tell you a lot more about that. Excuse me. And the artwork, every band has somebody that's an artist that can design this stuff, and you can do this on your own computer and design your album cover, the label. You can design all this here, but you do need to get them professionally pressed, or at least if you're going to do your own, get it where it's professionally looking. Do not put a sticky label on your CDs.
Right. That looks amateur, and it may not play in everybody's CD player.
Exactly. In fact, never, even if you're going to send somebody like a demo or a promo CD, never put the little, like 1-inch by 2-inch labels on a CD, because
that'll unbalance it.
Yeah, it throws it out of balance. And in fact, if I get one of those, I don't even play it. Don't even play
Ah.
it. Anyway, some of the biggest things you got to worry about, it's a learning experience, continuous learning experience. Don't bluff. Ask questions if you don't know. And the big one,
Be honest.
Be honest. You're absolutely right. Hopefully we covered enough to change your mind about starting a record label.
Don't do it.
But if you want to do it, go online. There's a million articles online for how to do it.
Yeah. And if you just want to do it for distribution and promotion, go to indie104.com, click on the on demand, and go to our previous shows and talking about distribution and promotion. And you can find out more information about that. Again, this is Mark Maverick along with Carmen Allgood and David Barber and Band Talk. And we'll see you next week. You guys say goodbye.
Goodbye.
Goodbye. We love you.
The preceding program was furnished by Scott.
This webcaster uses Radio Amber, the Internet Radio Amber Alert System, helping to keep your children safe. A public service from the Internet broadcasting community and this station.